All right, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who are listening on the podcast, we are about to get started and going live on YouTube. So just give us a moment while we go ahead and share the link to Twix and get this up and running. Almost there. The gremlins at YouTube are going a little slow tonight. All right, we're going to copy the link. We're going to go ahead and go to Twix, post the link, and click post, and we are live. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Dockside at the Bay. I am Vinnie. This is Kim.
Hello, everybody.
Kim, catch us up on your week.
Oh man, well, I don't know. My week's been a little bit nuts. I recently just had to have just like a little minor procedure done on my foot, and I'm in a little bit of pain right now. But other than that, things are going okay. Um, just yeah, coming back after the long weekend though was yeah, had a good long weekend.
Oh, lucky you. I work in retail food. I only got Sunday off.
Oh,
Um,
sorry.
and then worked from 6:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. tonight. So um it is what it is. But either way, again, as if you watched our Suds News last night, again, we want to send our condolences and our love to the
Yes.
family of Johnny Wachter,
Oh,
um, who, as we played the 10 bell salute last night, so I'm not going to play it again tonight. But um, for those of you who don't know, if you don't pay attention to GH News, but all daytime soap stars, sent out their condolences and posted something. Um, Even Gregory J. Martin too posted something
yes.
about Johnny.
Yeah.
He played Brando Corbin on General Hospital. He had a couple of, he played a role on Army Wives, played a couple of, had a couple of small roles, guest star spots, but he was starting to write movies and produce movies and films and stuff on early Sunday morning, or was it Saturday morning? I can't remember. I think it was early Saturday morning. Um, he was working at a rooftop bar, and he walked a coworker of his to her car, saw that the car was jacked up from the back, asked the person, "Are you looking to tow the car?" And the guy brandished a gun. Johnny stepped in front of his female coworkers, put his hands up, didn't engage, but the guy still shot him in cold blood and killed him, and he was pronounced dead at the hospital. He died a hero, and it hurts. It's one of those things where um, when somebody dies, I mean, when somebody dies, it's tragic as it is, but
A huge ripple effect in the daytime community and just even in general. Just oh,
yeah, we saw people like Eric Martzoff post condolences. Of course, his former, castmates on GH, but even like I said, Gregory J. Martin posted, and just numerous people. Ingo Rademacher posted. Of course, Ingo took the time to also politicize it about, Democrats versus Republicans, and that's not what it's about.
no
So,
time for that. Just
I
focus
mean,
on
it
the
was a senseless act of murder. Um, we have all faith in the LAPD to take these people to justice who did this. So the hashtag justice for Johnny Wachter um, is going, and there is a GoFundMe that was started by his godmother,
Mhm.
and it has been verified that it's legit.
Yes.
Um, so check that out. We shared it on the Suds Twix page, at Suds SQ Circle Pod. Go ahead and check that out. Donate. It's already over 30,000 last I checked. It's probably more by now because I haven't checked in since last night. Um, but yeah, again, our love, condolences, and just prayers go out to the family, friends, and all of us fans of Johnny Wachter's. Um, but we actually, again, hey Nathan, welcome to the show. Welcome to the chat.
Hi,
Uh,
Nathan.
and again, I do want to remind everybody the Sudsy Award voting is open. go to sudsandsquaredcircle.com/Sudsy voting, and that'll take you directly to the Google Docs. Also, as announced last night, we want to welcome author Guy Evans to the Sudsy Awards presenter list. He will present an award coming up in July. He wrote the Nitro book, Nitro: The Incredible Rise and Inevitable Fall of Ted Turner's WCW. He's also got another solo book coming out this August that's available for pre-order now. And he also just co-wrote. He was a co-writer with Eric Bischoff on his most recent autobiography, Grateful, and also helped to co-write David Penzer's autobiography, Sitting Ringside. So he's a fantastic wrestling fan. I've had him on Suds and Squared Circle a number of times, interviewed him a number of times. So he's a good guy, and he'll be presenting an award coming up in July. So, and then again, tomorrow, I do want to let everybody know, tomorrow night, right here, 10 p.m. Eastern, I will be joined by Flobo Boyce for an episode of Squared Circle News. So 10 o'clock tomorrow, and Flobo and I will be talking all about wrestling, WWE, NXT, AEW, perhaps. But Flobo will be coming and joining me on tomorrow's episode. All right, and again, we are an official affiliate of WWE Shop, which is a Fanatics experience. So go to sudsandsquaredcircle.com/wrestling merch. That has the affiliate link in that URL, and buy whatever you want, whether it's a Hulk Hogan for celebrating 40 years of Hulkamania shirt, or WrestleMania, 40 years of WrestleMania merchandise. But anything you buy, we do get a commission and help us out. All right. So we didn't even realize that last week when we ended the show that this week we would be starting on season 2, episodes 1 and 2. I didn't realize until I actually watched it.
Yep, and it was quite a kickoff to season.
It really was.
Do say so myself. No, these 2 episodes were pretty action packed. The second episode that we watched for this installment felt super short, even though it was even standard runtime, but just flew by. Like, just so much crammed into shorter episodes, which is par for the course for this series. But even so, just so much going on, and just so much even just like kind of said without words. A lot of scenes that were just like brilliantly acted, but didn't even have any like real dialogue component to it. Just so beautifully shot, and you just goodness, just stellar episodes, both of them.
When you say that, it brings me to the scene where Liana busts into Janice's office. So I mean, that's not at the very beginning of the episode.
But yes, that's definitely one of the examples that I noted as well. It doesn't take much, just to communicate everything that she is feeling. It was just a short, quick moment, but it just says everything, that the character is just kind of, and it says it so quickly and just so little, which, testament to, well-written script and just really taught script. So
no, you're exactly right. And we do get introduced to, before we even get to there, but let's kind of get to where we
to unpack.
Yeah, it's you got to figure out where to start with these 2 episodes.
Yeah, even at the beginning, so like we're back to having that little kind of quote graphic at the top of the Money Talks, the episode that we started with. Sins of our fathers have cursed us, which let's just set the tone right there.
Right.
But the first shot is our friendly neighborhood blonde thug.
Yeah.
Walking onto the beach, holding a plastic bag that we can assume is housing a body. Yeah. And it's like, all right, this is just where the season is starting out.
Yep.
Right. This is where we're at. And just walks into the surf and just, drops the body and just, and then immediately cut into Sarah getting her mugshot taken. So it's just immediately just, those 2, big action-packed moments from the start or the finale for season 1, just carrying us right into season 2.
Yeah, and from the last we saw our blonde thug guy, he was in the middle of assaulting Janice in the
Yes.
back of his van.
Which
So
you get the, little kind of like, flashes back towards, you
yeah,
know, down in, down the road, but it's yeah, like, the whole van slamming. Well, we get to see what happens inside the van and little sniffs enough to know
right.
what went
Enough
down.
to know what went down, and we do end up, you assume that he's carrying Janice's body
You assume.
um, into the server. They don't show it at first, because obviously it's wrapped in a plastic bag. He's trying to just dispose of the body, so to speak.
Right.
And we do, and then we go to Sarah's mugshot. So it's like it's such a fantastic juxtaposition. We never saw Sarah commit a crime, even though that's the premise of this, is that she killed
Right.
her grandfather.
Mhm.
But we saw a crime happen, and this gentleman is free.
Closest we saw to, Sarah, being involved in anything was that flashback sequence that they did just really briefly of her and Lee
Yeah,
when it's all shaken up immediately after the events just happened and she has the blood on her hands. But we don't actually see, any sort of, we don't see what happened prior. It's just,
right.
been, said, implied, what have you. But you're absolutely right. Just such a juxtaposition
There
there.
was actually a number of different juxtapositions in these episodes, just
Absolutely.
where you see the irony of, and we can go next to Pete and the mayor and Sarah's mother sitting
Hmm.
with, I guess that's their attorney or their accountant,
Yes.
or
Yeah. Cleo.
Cleo, and she's explaining the situation, saying that chances are the judge is going to throw the book at her because he was a senator. But the biggest thing is that the Garrett assets are frozen. So
Right.
any business money, any businesses, any money, any the estate, none of it can be accessed because of a codicil or a clause in the will stating that if whoever read willed his money to his beneficiaries, if they were
Involved in a crime.
involved in a crime that led to his death,
Yeah.
the assets would be
Old
frozen.
man kind of knew that, folks would be out to get him. So kind of taking precautions in that sense and making sure, like, hey, if this, whatever, you end up doing results in my death, then bye bye, all the money is gone, which
Yeah.
quite a clause. Quite a clause
Yeah,
there.
no kidding. So he knew he was a bastard even in death,
Yep.
and and the mayor said as much. Your father was a real winner, or something to that effect. But
He had some great, like, just like
one
little
lines, yeah.
lines and little just one-liners in this episode, I thought. And that, just in general, I just feel like he gets in like those little digs, and they're great.
Um,
Um,
and then we see. Go no, go ahead.
oh no, 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 go ahead.
No, I was gonna say we see Steve come up, and he's followed by a group of reporters, and he's in the front of the courthouse, and he's entertaining the reporters, and
Yeah.
hogging in the spotlight and saying,
Just,
"Oh,
what's that line that he says? Like, they're curious, so why not feed into it? Why not just keep them, guessing and keep them interested? And meanwhile, you have Pete and you have Jack who are just like, that is the worst strategy you could possibly be taking with
well,
them.
this is beforehand. This is
Yeah.
beforehand."
But
So,
even so, you just see his
yeah,
attitude
oh yeah,
that
he
it's going
wants all
to
the
cause.
spotlight.
Yep, it's going to cause chaos, and that all he wants is just the limelight on him and eyes on. Yeah, because oh my goodness,
Oh
those.
yeah, but again, he's not really there to support Sarah.
Oh
He's
no.
just there to get the paparazzi, the clicks, the clickbait. He's there to
What was it?
oh his
Code
business.
Steve, hashtag Steve and Sarah. Code, like
Yeah,
he's trying to, pitch a brunch that he's
yeah.
having. He's pitching the club. He's just, he's making it all about himself, about the lounge, about just, and you have Nathan who, Nathan with like his like needling reporting skills, kind of was. It's funny because like in Bay the Beginning when he's introduced and even in season 1, he's kind of like, but when he's going up against Steve, you're
Yeah.
rooting for him, and you're just like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, please, just like get to this guy, needle at this guy, Of course, Queen, the reason that Queen of Bay City married you in the first place,
Yeah.
like he's just because he knows his history, and you just want to see him
Oh
just
yeah.
undermine and undercut Steve at every turn.
But I
Versus
really,
before when he was like correct, going after Marley, and you're just like, oh my gosh, this guy is so annoying.
yeah. And I really liked that first scene when Steve's coming into the courthouse and he's talking to the paparazzi and pitching the brunch and using the hashtag. You see in the back corner, you see Vivian just kind of standing there,
I
trying to
love
stay
that.
out
Yeah.
of the limelight. Like the people that are there to truly support Sarah are staying out of the limelight, and the person that wants the spotlight is the one that's not really supporting. Because the first thing he says when he gets into the room is, "Am I going to be implicated? Is there? Should I?"
Immediately wondering how it's going to double back on him versus,
Yeah,
fate of, his wife. Yeah, I loved how they just kind of, showed Vivian there in the background, just like I wrote in my notes, just like Vivian standing in the corner, just judging.
yeah, exactly,
It was good.
exactly.
Yeah.
Um, but then they're talking, and then they come up. The attorney comes up with a clause saying that there was an irrevocable trust that Sarah set up for Pete at $100 million, but he can't access it until he gets married.
Hmm.
Um,
Yep. And she says that, the trust doesn't mean that anybody has to be dead. You can access this, but you
right.
have to fulfill the requirements, which involves, because in the meantime, they're asking all like these kind of valid questions, just like, we have no access to our funds. She's going to be homeless.
Yeah,
Like, we get her out of here. How are we supposed to pay for her defense? All of these things, like, natural kind of. And then you also have, Steve, you know, asking if like he's considered an accomplice, and then
yeah.
that really sets Pete off. Like the whole escalation in those scenes with the lawyer when they're all indoors just trying to.
I loved how Pete went off on Steve.
Oh, me too.
Like Steve is the perfect chicken shit heel. I'm sorry, he really is. He's needling it. He's like bringing all the attention on himself. Like, you know,
Mhm.
am I going to be implicated? Could I be an accomplice? And Pete's just like,
Yeah.
um,
Can you even like pretend you care about
right,
anybody besides yourself? And when Steve just calls him like, "Oh, son, what do you think you're?
yeah,
Don't call me son, you crooked asshole." Like he's just,
yeah,
it's like Pete has officially like I wrote this down, and I know it sounds a little odd, but it's like he's in grown man mode
oh
now.
yeah,
It's like no more like, Pete just kind of like hanging back or not really sure, running away from the whole family. No, he's like tackling this head on. It's like, just seeing him in that mode was awesome,
oh,
just
absolutely. I enjoyed it, and Pete. I'm sorry, but Pete has really come into his own, especially at the very beginning of this season.
absolutely. It just
I,
sets the tone right there for like how he's going to be like the rest of the season as well. No more of like that kind of like lost sort of, and it kind of picks up a little bit even from where the last conversation that he had with Janice, unfortunately, where he's just like taking control of the situation, being like, this is my family. You can see his loyalty has just really kind of where it lies now,
yeah, no, not like he's really like I'm a Garrett, and
Mhm.
that's all there is to it. You don't like it, get to stepping.
Yep.
And that's what it comes back to.
Yep.
So, so as they're leaving the courthouse, the attorney Cleo tells them, all right, just don't talk to the media, don't tell them anything,
Yep.
keep it
And
to yourself. And all of a sudden here comes Steve, and he's, just saying everything. Well, we don't think she's gonna be around for a while. And
yeah, just making all these just, casual comments, not and nobody's having it. And then it
everybody's like, what are you doing? And then all of a sudden, Nathan asks, "Well, what about the Garrett fortune and this and that?" And he's like, "Well, we can't do that." And here comes P with a right hand and knocks him out. So in the past 3 or 4 episodes, he's been knocked out twice already.
right?
Although I
Like
think John Blackwell has a little bit more a better punch than Pete does, but
I think so too, but
I
even
love how they were showing the TMZ footage and they were putting on the Batman Bam and Pow, and that was hilarious.
that was just a great touch. And then you show like you show Joe watching it and just seeing it and just looking absolutely just like horrified and just like, oh my God, like what is like this like, come to, and just pissed off as anything, and that whole bit, which just
And
Yeah, no, he definitely is setting himself up to be just, torn apart. And it's not to jump ahead, but the way that Joe just basically outlines all of that, how
yeah,
his behavior, what he's
and
doing is so
she put it right
detrimental.
out.
Yep. She just tells it like it is to him, and it's a great scene when she just kind of reads it all out for him like that.
And um, she just puts her out there. She's like, I only took this gig because of your connection to Garrett's. If
Hmm.
that money's gone, I'm gone.
Hmm.
And then she goes, you should get a bodyguard. He's like, why do I need a bodyguard if I have you? And she goes, you're an asshole or you're a dumbass or something to that effect.
I swear, it's like there is no one else. I truly, after watching this episode or this chunk of episodes,
Yeah.
there's truly nobody else that could play this role aside from Matthew Ashford because it's
Yeah.
like carry the charm and the humor that is still injected into this character that is nothing more than scum is just it's amazing.
Yeah,
Just
absolutely.
I can't get over it because he'll have these one-liners that just freaking kill you, even
Yeah,
though this man is loathsome and you can't stand him. It's just, so.
absolutely. I completely agree with you. Um, and we kind of, and then we kind of move on a little bit to um Liana. Like we said, Liana comes into Janice's office. We get introduced to Riley, who we find out is Sophia's daughter, his daughter, granddaughter.
Yes, granddaughter,
I think
great,
maybe it's her daughter.
yeah, might be, yeah. I'm
Something
the
to that effect.
let's
Granddaughter's daughter.
relative.
Relative. Brittany Underwood plays it. She used to be on One Life to Live. Uh,
Oh, oh,
Langston from One Life to Live. Uh,
uh, yeah. I wasn't into One Life to Live.
uh,
Missed that
yeah.
connection.
But so, Liana just busts right in
Oh yeah.
Janice's office, says, where is she? And Riley's like, well, who are you? "Well, I'm her daughter. Like, who are you? And she's like, I'm Riley, just trying to be this really nice, sweet.
Yeah, just trying to do her
And then
job.
Travis
To get this,
takes
yeah, just storms
seizures or
in.
something and and shreds, her mother's picture that's on the wall. It says slut.
And then, poor Riley just like calling security, just being like,
Yeah,
but, short, brief scene, but that's all it takes. That's all
full
we
of
need.
emotion.
Yep. We just see her entire reaction, everything, that she's just learned from Will, that she knows now that, him, Mother and Pete were together and is just, like a house of fire right now.
Oh, absolutely. Um, so that I mean that right there was just an absolutely fantastic scene, and it shows
Even just to follow, I mean, because Liana was in, the following episode, but only like kind of not as, just kind of a brief
yeah,
scene.
it's a
But I
very brief.
love that scene that she had with Will, where she's just some of the lines in that episode were just like, she says like she appreciates Will, being the only one that was straight with her about the whole situation and telling her what was going on. But then she's like, her speech about it coming in waves, rage and
Yeah.
disbelief and rage. Just the way she said that line delivery just killed me. And then like, they're just like, let's not worry about that. Let's just go get some food. We'll have a good time because we're eating. Because food
Yeah.
makes everything better. Just it was a brief little exchange with them, but compared to like that scene that they had in season one where he's just basically trying to kick her out of the house and has no
Yeah.
it's like their relationship has just totally evolved now. And those scenes I just thought were super cute.
Oh
Just
yeah. No,
two little.
I like where they're going with Will and Liana. Yeah,
Mhm.
because it's like you want to root for Liana. This girl's had so much, in her brief life that we've seen from the beginning up until now.
Mhm.
And she's just had hit after hit after hit.
She has. Yeah,
You just really want to root for her. You sympathize with her character because of all this stuff. Uh,
absolutely. It's nice seeing her even get just like a moment where there's like a little bit of like little levity,
yeah,
just something that's like a little bit because you have like so much other like dramatic, heated, insane, really devastating moments, and it's nice to just have those little lines and like little, oh yeah, you guys are cute. Go get some food and enjoy yourselves a little bit. You deserve.
however, they really can't enjoy themselves because as they go into the restaurant,
Yeah,
who they see
she could
Pete
live.
and Daniel and Avery and no, Daniel and Avery had left it by that point, so it was just
Right.
Vivian.
Just Pete and Vivian. But, you know, again, just one of those moments, just a loaded moment. And
Yeah,
obviously it's going to carry on into the next, but, you know, it didn't need, you know, it was just all they had to do was kind of like look at each other and acknowledge that they were in the same space.
yeah.
You just know that everything's going to break open and everything's going to get nuts. And because no one can have nice things.
Oh, of
But
course. That's the reason why Pete and Vivian are alone, because
Mhm.
originally they were sitting at the table with Daniel and Avery,
Yes.
but Pete was explaining that the only way he can access his money is if he gets married, and he's
Right.
like, But that's not going to happen." And
Yeah. Because I'm not interested in anyone in
right,
that sense. And then, yeah,
Vivian,
Vivian
oh, I'm
just,
with you,
just
just like that, like, and Daniel's like, "Oh my God, I just witnessed my cousin getting proposed to. Should I have my camera out for this?"
that was such a great exchange. I loved his little like interjections and stuff like that there. He had some great lines too, even at like, you know, the courthouse and things,
Yeah,
and he was talking with outside the courthouse of it. So you think she's gonna get life?
yeah.
Just like just you know, the little you know, interjections there, the comedy and some really awesome lines from him. But I did like that moment where he's just like kind of calling out the fact like you just got proposed to, dude. Like that's like
Yeah.
just you know and Vivian, I mean, kudos girl, like you know, you're just stepping up to the plate
Still
being
not
like
over, we know she's still not over Pete.
we
She
know,
said
but
as
like
much
she
at the
is she is really, you know, just well, it's the only way your mom's gonna get out of jail, so hey, I volunteer. It's I mean, and hey, you know, if I was in her shoes, yes, I'd volunteer as well probably, but still.
oh for 50 million bucks. Damn. I mean, I'd even go gay for pay on that one. Um, but no, under with all seriousness, she does. She basically said if it's to get your mother out, we know that she has the ulterior motive because she still loves Pete and she wants to be with him, and
Yeah.
it's kind of her in.
Yeah.
But she's doing it on a selfless. It's not like she's doing it as a gold digger type
No,
of.
no, no, no. I mean, it's purely for, you know, and you know, even Pete, it's just like, you know, it's too generous, you know, it's too much, you know, and she's just like, but it's the only solution. It's the only way. And, you know, in the end, it is the only way. Like, you know, short, you know, because, you know, there's no way around him, you know, needing to get married in order to get that money. And yeah, Sarah does need to get out of prison.
And you don't see Jensen ponying up the money to say, here's $50 million."
No, no.
So,
Yeah.
and we see Lex at Garrett Tavern sitting there talking to Zoe, who's bartending, and he asks her, "Why aren't you out there with the rest of the parasites?" Uh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Lex
And
had some great lines in there too, just, you know, just sitting there. And then, you know, he's watching the footage,
yeah,
of, you know, with the TMZ with like, you know, and he's just like, no, leave that on, you know, like if there's one thing that's gonna like get me through, it's watching, you know, him getting his lights
yeah,
punched out, you know.
yeah. Um,
But then, yeah, we get, you know, Blackwell crashing the party, and just, you know, that whole situation, and Lex obviously
okay.
being furious with him because of the whole, you know, knowing exactly he's the reason why Sarah's in jail, and you know the whole bit. And you know, even Zoe is just trying to like keep the peace, and she's just
Yeah,
behind the bar, just being like, "I think you should leave. This isn't the time. This isn't the place." You know, trying to downplay everything, but she can see it. You know,
oh
clearly
yeah.
these men are going to have a conversation no matter what.
But John apologizes. He's like, "I just wanted to say I apologize."
Yeah, no,
I
because
made
he
a
is
mistake.
really humbled by the fact that, you know, obviously, you know, learns that Marley was, but even for Lex, what was Lex's response? Like, you're a shit for brains son or something
Yeah,
like that. You know,
yeah,
because he even like has like a visceral reaction when he finds out that Marley was the reason that, you know, the donor, you know, he kind of like is like, oh my God, and like doubles over almost like, you know, he's in shock. And then he's just like, you're telling me like this is like, you know, this is what happened, is this justice, is this, you know, just that whole bit,
and you
which
almost see a different side of John in this episode
oh
because last season he was all about vengeance,
yes.
but this season so far, in just the first two episodes, because
Mhm.
not only does he go to Lex and he apologizes, but we also see him walking on the beach and he comes across Janice. she's
Yeah.
wrapped. It's right to assume she was the one wrapped in plastic because
Mhm.
we see her wrapped in a plastic bag.
Yeah. She
She's
washed up on the shore. And in the background, even when they showed Blackwell walking down the beach, you have Sarah's like voice, or not Sarah, Catherine's voice in his ear, basically just reminding us, the reason why, your son is still alive, just kind of echoing like, that was like his moment, like his shift as a character. He's just now like kind of on an apology tour to a
Mhm.
degree and
Yeah,
just trying to like, and in a way it's like, he sees this, a woman who's obviously like, been, in this, brings her back, CPR, whole 9 yards, wants to get her to the hospital. It's like we're starting to see him like kick into hero mode,
oh yeah, absolutely.
trying to,
Well, he's
find
he
redemption and all everything. And yeah,
he's a former DA, is he not?
I believe so. Yes.
So I mean, he does technically have the, I guess, there's some type of law enforcement training.
Yes.
So,
Mhm.
so he's able to spot somebody to help, and he's trying to wake her up. He gives her mouth to mouth, but no chest compressions, which didn't make any sense to me. Um,
That's a little, yeah, considering the fact that like we thought that she was, she was pretty well wrapped up in that. It wasn't as if we were seeing, and to be, in the water, you would think that it would require a little bit of that action as well. But
yeah, because the chest compressors help get the heart beating, but also, giving her mouth to mouth. So it's like one doesn't usually work without the other. That's what CPR is.
yeah, kind of need a little bit of a balancing act there. But hey,
Either
it
way,
worked. He's a miracle worker, brings her back. But then poor Janice is like obviously traumatized and can't handle the fact that like this, anyone is trying to help her. She doesn't feel like anyone is like there to help her. She's still probably, lost in, flashback mode to everything that she endured. So she just takes off running. Poor thing. And
yeah,
then the last shot we see of her is just devastating when she manages to get back to, I believe that's her. Was it her house or her office? I couldn't exactly tell.
her office.
Yeah, but she just, she reaches, she grabs her sunglasses and she grabs her coat, just trying to like shield herself and protect herself, and then just, doubles over and she's clearly in pain, and it's just so much done without words. You
Oh yeah.
just know. It was just absolutely devastating, scene, just watching her trying to, recover from everything that she's just gone through.
And again, you don't want to make light of any kind of assault, especially sexual assault. So I mean, the way that she played it out, like even when Zoe was assaulted in season one, it's like you see her just jumpy, you
Yeah,
know, and for rightfully so, because clearly the guy got into her house at some point,
right. Yeah.
and hiding in her
They
closet.
show it's not like they're just like, bypassing it. They do show, residual effects. They show the trauma, they show the flashback, they show everything that they went through, and they show them, trying to wrestle with it in the immediate aftermath, which
They also show that
comfortable to watch, but at least they're, showing that trauma, and at least they're like, indicating like, yes, something horrible happened to this woman.
and they also showed this guy is escalating
Oh
because
yeah.
when he attacked Zoe, was it the funeral home or something? It was in a bathroom. I can't remember exactly where.
It was at the tavern, wasn't it? In like the kitchen area or something like
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
drags her back, like when she
Yeah.
goes back there to try and meet somebody.
And then with Janice, he brings her to the back of a van. So he's clearly escalating. And then he wants to dump the body because he thinks he killed her or he wants to, get rid of her. So I mean, you see that happening as well.
Mhm.
Um, but we haven't talked about it yet, but Sarah being in jail.
I mean, it's, big ticket item for the episode. I mean, just, oh boy, this whole, I was,
That rough for her. A little rough.
I mean, you never see her this stripped down, literally, slash vulnerable at any other point. You see her in the most casual, like even in the mugshot thing, you see her in the most casual outfit that we've ever seen her wear, probably ever, short of like the prison uniform that we see her in later.
Yeah.
Just like flannel and like, just the like no makeup, just totally just, I mean, no, I mean, freaking Mary Beth Evans, let's just watch you earn all the awards,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
thing. I mean, even like the sequence where like they show like the prison lights going out and her getting escorted to her cell and her just like she's just standing there holding a pillow and you don't need to say any, she doesn't need to say anything. It's just like you see everything in her face and it's just
Yeah,
absolutely.
'cause it's just that walk. The first time being in jail, away from everything, and when you come from a lifestyle that she's had of
Yeah.
being,
No, you feel her terror.
yeah,
You feel her terror in those
oh,
scenes.
absolutely,
It's, and I was actually like looking it up because I touched on it before we started this episode, but even Orange is the New Black was
yeah,
right around like I was, big, fan of that show. That premiered, I want to say 2013. This
yep.
season of The Bay was out 2015. Couldn't help just that show brought out similar sort of like
Oh yeah.
well in a prison setup, and I will leave it at that.
That I
It's
mean
based
that
on
show.
what I've
That
seen in fictional aspects, which just feel
I
very true to life.
Yeah, no, I really liked Orange is the New Black. I watched it really well, except until season three, that it kind of slowed down because it was all about that riot for the entire season.
Yeah, it
So then
did. Yeah,
I stopped it because it got boring. But then I went back and finished it, muscled through it, and then went, to season four. And
just the intensity that they're able to create, and just the way that you just in this episode in particular. I mean, like I said, you just feel her terror, and you
oh
just
yeah,
like the way that they shoot it and the way they just go about everything, and it's just like, whew, I would not do well in that setting.
they,
You
they
just,
really did their research because when she sits down to have, you know, lunch, she sits down at what she thinks is an empty table because it was empty. But then
yes,
Rhea comes up to her and just like, "You're in my spot. Don't make me cut you."
yeah.
And people are, people in prison are like that, especially when some people have nothing left to lose.
Yeah. And I mean, this is not, just like a typical, like, country club sort of prison where, or not typical, but, like a setting where
Upset.
someone with money, someone with privilege could potentially like minimum security. This is like real deal. You are surrounded by people that have, committed capital crime and killed
Yeah.
other, like it's not, it's just, you just feel like that just suspenseful, just, and just protective of, and then when she pulls her hair, and just oh, so scary.
And then we get introduced to Big Candy, who,
Yes,
she, Kim Whitley, who was the host of the Valentine's Day episode.
yes,
Um, and we see her for the first time in this episode, in these episodes, and she's basically saying, I'll protect you, but for a price.
yeah, yeah. And you just, it doesn't take a lot of words for you to just kind of figure out, you just and like what she said, like I can smell the money on you,
Yeah,
all of
on your
this.
breath. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
like
she's
there's
like,
other
like
things that are just kind of implied loosely that you're just like, oh yeah, okay. And then
a
it's
lot
there.
of innuendos in that very first dialogue. Like, they don't actually follow through with it if you go when we go further into the series, in
No,
the season. But there were a lot of innuendos in that. Do you like the taste of candy? And Sarah's like, no. Well, you better learn to like
not
it.
particularly.
Yeah,
Like
not particularly. Yeah,
funny, but just she just kind of looks at her, not particularly.
yeah.
Like just the way she says it was just like
And then
not but so
then Candy's like, well, you better learn to like it, and she's kind of rubbing herself up a little bit, and then spits her out.
slaps her. Yeah, it's just and you're just like, okay, so much was just oh boy.
Yeah,
And then but even in the following episode when she is talking with and I appreciated this just the fact that it was Patsy Pease playing the fellow inmate who kind of talks to and just kind of seems like she's kind of helping Sarah out. It was just him and Kayla from Days as prison buddies, like as friends, at least in this moment, which just like upon kind of like first viewing, I wasn't, I like was like, wait a minute, is that? And then I realized, and it was just cool seeing the two of them, got to play sisters on Days, and now they are playing, cell buddies,
yeah.
which I just appreciated. but she kind of in that conversation she even says like, oh yeah, no, Candy apparently owns me now or
Yeah.
something like that. But even that's implied that that's not good, that she still needs to make friends and still needs to find a circle, because otherwise, because the guards will be of no help. And they mention solitary confinement and just all of these horrifying situations that just it
And,
makes you feel very protective for Sarah, and like you want to just like kind of like pick her up and hug her, even though it's like she's like the freaking matriarch of this town who was like running the show last season, and now all of a sudden she's just in such a vulnerable place, and it's just such a contrast.
and the way that she tells Sarah about Rhea and what she did allegedly,
Yeah.
I
Oh
guess
yeah,
like,
cheating. No man. So I set him on fire, or she
yeah.
set them on fire. Yeah, because they're not playing around. They're she's in there for second degree murder. So
So
yeah.
one thing I do have to go back to, because I kind of caught it in the dialogue when Lex is talking to Zoe in the bar,
Hmm.
and Zoe's like, do you have she's like, do you think that the judge will throw it out or throw the charges out? Lex made a comment saying
Yes.
the effect of his ex-wife will throw
Yeah.
the book at her. Now,
Yeah.
we
I
know
wonder
that
if that's what
Liza,
sentencing. Yeah.
well, we know that Liza is his ex-wife, who is Sarah's cousin,
Yes.
so Red's niece. But
Yeah.
I also thought that she was into medicine, not law, unless he's got another ex-wife out there.
See, I was trying to think of the same thing. I was like, is there another X in play that because I honestly, for some reason, I did not think that Liza. I don't think it's one and the same character. I think it's two
It's
separate.
got to be because because we remember in Bay the beginning when she's in New York and she sees,
Yeah, she says she used to be a doctor, or
yeah,
was
she's not a doctor anymore or whatever.
yeah, yeah. So I kind of, it's gonna, take when we finally do see the judge again, because I had actually forgotten that little detail. But yeah, I picked up on it in this that he did say it was his ex who would be like, which Bay City's a small town, man.
Oh, absolutely.
In that sense, how, not necessarily the most convenient that your ex happens to be the one that's just, yeah.
And then the way that the episode ends with Sarah, in that community room, TV is on, and she sees that Pete punches Steve, and she's like, "Oh, Pete."
Yeah, no, she just at that point it's just like, icing on the horrible cake
Yeah.
that, this is what's happening outside
And
of,
she's the only one that's unhappy about it.
right? Well, unless you count Joe, who was also
Well,
just
right.
like her whole business is like, at the hands of this guy that
Well,
like,
you know what I thought was fantastic was, so clearly TMZ is on network TV, right? It's a syndicated show on network TV. So after Pete punches Steve, you hear Daniel in the background saying, "Oh shit" or "Holy shit," and you could hear it on the TMZ feed, what's on TV, and it's not bleeped out. So I mean, that's a little thing that I think could have been a little more
maybe
realistic. But
it's not TMZ, it's TMZ2 or TMZ, just some alternate universe version of it where, the occasional, isn't bleeped out. I
yeah,
noticed that. So that's, and, the one other scene, like I kind of forgot about this, but I was just going through my notes. We did get that little flashback at the end of the episode too,
mhm,
with Sarah and young Sarah and young Lee,
yeah,
where she basically, I mean, they had talked about like, how she was unwise making a confession, but I mean, she confessed to Lee too. I killed him. I killed my grandfather. You can't tell anyone. I didn't mean to. Please promise me you'll keep it a secret. And
mhm.
that whole tearful bit, which was just, kind of devastating. And then, she gets a visitor at the very end. We don't know who the visitor is. Cutoff point. And I was just like, wow, that's where they're ending the episode. Shoot.
You say that she confessed to Liza.
Was it?
No, I thought I heard you say she confessed to Liza and also confessed to Lee.
No, 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 just to Lee, as far as I know. I mean, she made it, they said that Lex had said that she
Right.
had confessed and that was unwise
Unwise. Okay, so that's where
Sorry,
I
no, not Liza. No, that would have been an interesting twist. No.
yeah.
Yeah, confess to the woman that we think might be the judge, but isn't, we aren't really
Right.
sure.
But that would also be because if Lee said that she wouldn't have shared the secret, somebody did. If
Yeah.
she confessed it to somebody, maybe it was Liza, and she, you
Yeah.
know, she put in a statement that was locked away. She put in a statement after Lex cheated on her with Sarah,
Hey,
and it was locked away.
twist on twist. You never know.
Yeah, exactly. We don't know. It's all conjecture at this point.
Yeah. But no, just just powerful little flashback sequence there, but then, cutting to, and then, the episode wraps and then you're just like, well, wait, who's visiting her now?
Yeah.
It's not going to be Lee, but
Hey, right, right.
but man, just, like so much intensity crammed in and just so quick. I just couldn't get over it.
This show is fantastic. Next week we will get into season 2, episodes 3 and 4.
Mhm.
Um, in no time we'll be caught up to the current season at this rate.
Yeah, honestly, we're just chipping away.
Yeah. Um, did we go over everything? I think we did. I think we went over everything.
I
This
think we did. Yeah, I think we covered all the bases.
I kind of like Nathan's character at this point because we know he's a sleaze bag.
Yes.
But at the same
He's a
time,
sleazebag that's acting in our best interest because we want to see Steve get taken down pegs.
yeah,
We like, seeing this character just kind of getting, even when he was like walking around, like holding like the ice pack to his face and making,
yeah,
it's like, okay, how many times now have we seen the character like, neck brace,
right, yeah,
holding ice, needing to like, I mean, gosh, you'd think after, he maybe he's just a glutton for punishment at this point.
could be. Um, all right, but we've kind of gone over everything, and
Yeah. Yeah.
so any final thoughts about these 2 episodes? I think we've gone
Honestly,
over.
no, I think we covered everything. Just the one line when Steve was just saying like code or hashtag Steve and Sarah for brunch.
Yeah,
It was just
use
like,
the promo
oh
code.
God, just free, so many great. That's another thing, just so many great like little lines in the dialogue. It's just so sharp. I
It is.
really appreciate that. It's because it could be, I mean, you got all these like crazy twists and things like that happening, which is enough to keep you on the edge. But having like, the good dialogue, and like the one-liners and stuff like that, it's just really nice and refreshing to see it. So
Absolutely. But those were season 2, episodes 1 and 2 that we just went over of The Bay, which you could find on Amazon Prime, Peacock, as well as Tubi TV. If you are able to watch it on Popstar weekdays at 4 p.m. I'm not sure what season they're on. I would assume it's season 8 or something at this point. Um,
right, yeah.
it is on 4 p.m. and 9 p.m. weekdays on Popstar. Still waiting for them to put those episodes on demand, but they're just not there. So I do, as I told everybody, because of that situation for the Sudsy Awards, anything that the Bay is nominated for is based on season 7 because that's the most recent season that we have on demand based on Amazon Prime. So once season 8 is released on demand on Amazon Prime or Peacock or wherever, then we'll be able to use that for next year. Um, but definitely go vote for the Sudsy Awards, sudsandsquaredcircle.com/Sudsy voting. That'll take you to the Google form. And go ahead, fill that out. Let's get those votes in. You have until Sunday, July 7th. So about 5 weeks away from now. And then the 21st is when the show actually drops. Let me just kind of run down. Besides Kim, Christy, and myself presenting awards, Matt and Kat from the 10th floor will be presenting an award. Max Updates GH will be presenting an award. Angela and Tony from Petty Prattle Podcast will be presenting an award. Flobo Boyce will be presenting an award. David and Candace from Take Two Radio will be presenting awards as well. We've also got the gentleman from Chair Shot Sports, We've also got the gentleman that runs, he's a former writer for WCW magazine. His name is Tim. He's the Yeah Revolution on Twitter or on Twix, and just signed now Guy Evans. So we do have a who's who of podcasting and personalities presenting in awards. Oh, as well as Lucretia Lyon and Amanda Russ as well. So we have a ton of presenters this year for the Sudsy Awards. It won't just be rotating between four of us. But anyways, again, I want to thank you all for watching. Go ahead, hit that like button, subscribe, turn those notifications on. Tomorrow night, 10 p.m., right here, Squared Circle News. Flobo Boyce will be joining myself. I'll be talking all about WWE, AEW, NXT, and more. And then Suds News next Monday at 10 p.m. And we will be back next Tuesday at 10 p.m. going over episodes 3 and 4 of season 2. And the the business is about to pick up, as good old JR would say. But yeah, it's getting, the Bay is great as it is. It's gonna get even better. So definitely check those out, and we will see you next week, Dockside,